Friday, May 29th, I took one good trade. Let's see how that went. So let's look at the charts. We're already in this session. Let's go ahead and take a look as we go. So we've been patiently waiting. I was normally looking for a reversion trade on this one. And as you can see here, there's a couple of high volume areas building up above the exponential moving average. So I'm looking at that. I'm also looking at the other chart, looking at some clusters that are forming at this point where they are starting to build in size. And so also the other reference I had for this trade was the fact that the previous day it ended with some positive clusters as well. So I'm looking for not a mean reversion today, but a trend continuation trade today. So let's take a look at the trade that I took. It's only one trade. It's all I need. So let's take a look. Here I get in. Now I do get in at the top as it just broke that high volume node area. We're waiting for it to keep going. I have my stop right below the second point of the high volume node, risking 402 with 50 cents here, waiting for price to get to 500 here. Now, it might not reach 500 since there's nothing really above to reference this price area since it's new. We're at all-time highs, continuing to go in all-time highs. So we're looking to see how far it goes. What I'm going to do is I'm going to be cautious here to make sure that we're not pulling back far enough to take me out. So I'm going to keep an eye out on my stop loss. So you see here so far so good. Not too much drawdown, $50. It's going my direction here so far. But again, we needed to wait for this to show up at 640, 641. This is where we were. I could have had a better entry if I would have waited just a little bit more for that retracement. Entered out on the low there. But here we go. We're starting to break above that. And as always, we will take a look at the other charts as well so you can see what I was seeing. I know that this looks like a naked chart here. You might see some other things going on here. You might see a fair value gap. You might see some order blocks. You'll see the VWAP bounce as well. You're seeing a 9 EMA hold. There's a couple of things going on here that are showing some confluence. Although I only focus on a few things here, we're gonna look at the other charts in just a moment here. I feel confident at this point about the trade. I'm still feeling like it's working out in my favor. No issues. Let's see how it goes. The moment it starts pulling back is when I start getting a little bit cautious that it might take me out. Again, there are two volume nodes there that I'm looking at for support to make sure it does not reject. And also, again, as I mentioned, we have the EMA and we also have the VWAP that are holding there. Normally it'll bounce or it'll go into where the EMA is, wick down a little bit, and then bounce right back up. So we're looking for that as well. So here we go. See if it pulls back up here. Again, 5 micro contracts. Not trying to blow this account. I'm not trying to go crazy in size. One of the things that I have been working on is trying to moderate my size. I don't go really small all the time because sometimes it just feels like it almost feels inside like I'm wasting my time because I'm only making $30, $25, $50 when I know that I can make more and I know that I have made more in other trades. But this is not a challenge between me and the markets. It's more of a challenge between me and myself. So here we go. Starting to pull back down here. Now starting to get absorbed here. Starting to go back up. Again, there was a lot of buying yesterday towards the end of the session. So this is why I'm looking for a trend continuation play. So here we go again. Starting to break the highs here. We're looking to go up. Starting to go a little faster here. Picking up some speed. I'm starting to get a little cautious here because I don't know what can happen. At any time, somebody could put in a big order for sellers and it'll sell off. So I want to make sure that I'm taking profits as I go up here. I took out 2 I'm taking out as I'm seeing going up, and I'm reducing my risk. Now I am 2 contracts in, waiting for it to try to reach that high here. If it does break these areas here, I'm going to go ahead and break even. So that's what I'm thinking right now at this point. I'm looking, okay, well, we'll see. It has to hold this high volume node. If it does not hold this high volume node, then it might take me out here. I have $87 risk, which is not too bad for $200 worth if it reaches my target. Right now, I am positive 129 with 4 cents for the day, right? We're waiting for it to go a little higher, and then I'm going to move my stop to right below the low, because that would confirm for me that it wants to continue going up higher. At this point, I'm trying to see if I can get some more profit here. I saw a couple of things on the other chart to try to go up. So I'm putting a limit order as it goes up to try to reduce a little bit more of my risk as it goes up. And as it reaches that, if it reaches that, immediately just go to break even and I won't lose anything on the trade. I would have been out completely out of my size and we should be good for the day. Now I know it didn't, the reward most likely here won't be what I was risking originally, but the point of this, in the purposes of passing this prop firm, is to be consistent in profit taking with the same similar amounts, just so that way I stay within the consistency rule. So that's the goal right now, to try to do that, and then once I pass it, try to maximize this and hold as much as possible. Again, but also at the same time going above the 150 mark so it can count me as a winning day. So here we go, breaking above that high. Didn't break as I wanted it to, so I haven't moved anything quite yet. So we're waiting here. Here we go. So now at this point, it's starting to go up a little bit more, so I'm going to put my stop to break even. $9 in here. Now there's 2 high volume nodes that it needs to break through. This first one right here where it's right below where all this consolidation is, and then the one right below that. So there's 2 overlapping high volume nodes. Looking for this to reach my limit sell here, and as it reaches, essentially trail with the 1 contract. Now there's one thing I didn't do so great here, so you'll see, even though I've already taken out profits. Okay, there you go. You'll see me get filled. So I extend my take profit target to try to get a little more with just 1 contract. Move my stop loss to below that other low, right? And then I start to move it a little closer here. And instead of leaving it there, this is where I could have done a little better job of just holding this a little longer. Since it's been going my way, I've already taken profit. There's nothing for me to lose, $39. But I got greedy here and tried to move my stop closer and try to take out that profit as soon as possible. So instead of doing that, I could have just left it there and just waited to see if it would have come back and taken me out or taken out my take profit target. So you'll see right now here shortly, as price moves back up, it should reject this high volume area. That's why I have my price right in the middle of it, because it shouldn't start to go down too far down. Most likely when it does that, it will completely liquidate those buyers that are there in that area. So here we go. I'm starting to trail, $53, right below the low there. We're waiting for it to break. Now, there is a high from overnight that's up at the 500s, or I believe that was liquidity that we had marked there with the yellow line. So here we go, as it's reaching, and yes, I believe it was liquidity that we had resting up there. That's why I marked it as a yellow line. So it's going up there shortly here, but I moved my stop loss up above here. I haven't let go of the mouse, so it hasn't settled there, but I do have it below that other high volume node area. As you can see here, so far it hasn't tapped me out yet. We're looking for it to continue and break and reach that 500 price mark. And as soon as it breaks, this is where I'm going to let go of my stop loss here. Because there is so much buying pressure, it'll push it up. The liquidity that was there at the 500 mark ends up moving. So they move it from one range up another one. So they remove it and they move price as it keeps going up. So that's telling me that they're pretty aggressive. So right here, I'm waiting to see what's going to happen. Go. As it breaks, again, I let go here. It's hesitating, but as you see, every time it comes down here, it pushes right back up. So we're at $100 here. If I let go there, we're at $100. We're good. We should have a good profit for the day. Now I'm starting to get a little concerned here because, there you go. See, I let go right there because I started getting a little concerned that it wasn't going to break that. But then as soon as I let go, I noticed that they got rid of that liquidity at the 500s. And so I'm like, I was kind of kicking myself in the butt there, just because it does break out here and it does continue up a little higher. So that's one thing I could have done a little bit better in this trade. And it's always a work in progress to try to work on these things as you're developing and as you're going through these trades. So nobody's perfect. Nobody's going to get that perfect entry. There have been moments where I have been able to trail really, really well, add and trail and add and trail. But in this case, this was a good trade. So that's the trade I took today. Let's go ahead and look at the other charts to see what I was looking at. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and take a look at this. So we're looking at the trade I took. Remember, I mentioned I saw a couple of clusters in the day previously. So if you look at the mouse here, right in this area right there, you see 271, 261, 198, some big trades there as well. You can see some selling, but a lot more buying here. So that to me indicates strong buying pressure right before the market ended. People had to make decisions, so they bought, right? Majority of them bought. It wasn't a mixed situation here. And then as market opened in the first minute and a half, you see some aggressive buyers here. Started trying to push this up. So we waited, even though it was tempting to try to take this up or try to take this as a mean reversion, but it wouldn't have been worth it really if it was a mean reversion trade here, because it's not that much of a distance. This would have been like a quick scalp with probably a little bit higher amount of risk. But I'm not taking that trade. Again, I was looking for a trending continuation play today. After price fell down to the lower deviation band, it started coming back up, came back down here, and then as soon as I saw this other big green big trades in combination with the previous other two, that's what gave me the conviction to go up and go into this trade, just so that way I could capitalize on any movement that was moving upwards. Again, put my stop right below this low here. On the other chart, it does look a little different, but it's 123 ticks of risk for 243 return, right? So it's a 1.98 risk to reward. I did, again, reduce some of my risk as price was going up, which is another thing that I could have changed or modified, or I need to find a better way of doing that, right? So that way I don't have too much risk if it goes against me, but at the same time I did cover some profits along the way, not reducing everything. It did go up a little further, as you can see, not too much, right? And then immediately came back down. So it's a good thing that I was trailing, and it's a good thing I just didn't let it hold and go to break even, because it would have potentially taken me out throughout the day if I would have just left it that way. So that's why I like to trail and try to, if I've already reached my target, leave it at where my target was, or trail as close as possible to try to expand and get as much out of the move as I can. And so that's the trade I took. Again, just one good trade is all you need. I know I took a few trades in a couple of sessions prior, but it's something I need to work on continuously. to be more systematic or be more specific of the trades that I am willing to take. So thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see you in the next one.